Thurgood Marshall was an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. He served from October 1967 to October 1991. Thurgood Marshall was the court's 96th justice and the first African-American judge. Before becoming a judge, he served as a lawyer, which he was very successful at. The case he was most known for was the Brown versus Board of Education. That case was the one that desegregated schools. In 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed Marshall to the United States Supreme Court.
Early life. Thurgood Marshall was born on July 2, 1908 in Baltimore, Maryland, to his father William Marshall and his mother Norma. Thurgood Fathers was the grandson of a slave and worked as a steward at an exclusive club. As for his mother, she held a job as a kindergarten teacher. Thurgood's father, William, had a hobby of listening to cases at their local courthouse. After listening, he would rehash the arguments with his sons. Now, you want to know how I got involved in law? I don't know. The nearest I can get is that my dad, my brother, and I had the most violent arguments you have ever heard about anything. I guess we argued 5 out of 7 nights at the dinner table. When he was born, his legal name was Thurgood Marshall, until he got tired of being made fun of his name and changed it to Thurgood at the age of 6. Marshall attended Baltimore's Colored High and Training School, which was later Frederick Douglass's high school. He was an exceptional student and a star of their debate team. In 1926, he enrolled in Lincoln University, a college majority African-American populated in Pennsylvania. Thurgood met many people at his college and would go into the future to do great things. For example, Kwame Nkrumah, he became the president of Ghana. Langston Hughes, as a well-known poet, and Cab Calloway, a famous jazz singer. After graduating from Lincoln in 1930, he applied for the University of Maryland Law School. Marshall had outstanding grades and honors, although he was rejected because of his race. The rejection from his first encounter of discrimination, however, is left as a lasting impression of him. From that day on, he stayed determined to succeed in the career he chooses. Instead of Maryland, he chooses to attend the school in Washington, D.C. at Howard University, which was a school populated mainly with African Americans as well. He would not be satisfied until he went to a dance on the campus and found all of his students sitting around the wall reading law books instead of partying. Marshall went to graduate from Howard University magna cum laude in 1933. Ian Buster Bure. After she passed away in 1955, Thurgood remarried to Cecilia Suyat on December of 1955. Cecilia and Thurgood had 2 sons married together. Thurgood Marshall Jr. He was a former top aide at President Bill Clinton. And John W. Marshall, he worked as a U.S. Marshals Service Director and Virginia Secretary of Public Safety at the age of 84 on January 24, 1993. Many believe Marshall stands alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X as one of the greatest and most important civil rights activists. Marshall is the least recognized out of the 3, but he was the most instrumental in the movement's achievements toward racial equality. Role in the civil rights movement. Between the years of 1934 to 1961, he was an attorney for the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People and traveled all throughout the United States representing all types of clients involving racial justice. Marshall argued 32 cases and prevailed 29 of them, in which he gained the title Mr. Civil Rights. Some of the cases that he won was Smith versus Albright, which invalidated the white primary, the practice of burying blacks from the Democratic Party, Shelley versus Kramer, and the prohibition of state courts from enforcing racial restrictive real estate covenants, and the Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, which invalidated state-enforced racial segregation in public schools. In 1964, Thurgood was appointed as a judge for the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals by John F. Kennedy. Over the 4 years as a judge, he issued more than 100 decisions, and none was overturned by the Supreme Court. Then, in 1965, Lyndon Johnson appointed Marshall to be the first black U.S. Solicitor General, an attorney designated to argue in behalf of federal government. Throughout the 2 years, he managed to win 14 out of 19 cases. Due to many successful arguments, President Johnson nominated Marshall to serve on the United States Supreme Court. By October 2, 1967, Thurgood was sworn as a Supreme Court Justice, becoming one of the first African American to serve the nation's highest court. Marshall joined a liberal Supreme Court headed by Chief Justice Earl Warren, which had the same point of views as politics and the Constitution. As a Supreme Court Justice, he supported laws and rulings that would protect individual rights and liberal interpretations of social issues. He also ruled in favor to the right of abortion. Impact influences on society. All through Thurgood Marshall was not as well known as Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X, he still made a huge impact on society. He was the instrument of ending legal segregation and racial discrimination. Marshall spent his time fighting for individual rights and equality for people. All of his actions led to the end of the racial segregation and discrimination against all African American. He fought for equal rights for fellow citizens. Not only did he fight for people's rights, Marshall was also the very first African American to be a judge. He made a huge influence in the most important decisions for everyone. As an African American, he had different points of views on making things, which helped persuade the Supreme Court in which would be better for everyone in the society.
Somehow I thought I was still able to try to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Just like I said, I went to my little bitty brother. Oh, my little brother. I asked my brother, help me, please. Oh, now. He turned me down, and then I go to my little mother, my dear mother. Oh, now. I said, mother, I'm down on my knees. But there was a time that I thought, Lord, this could last so very long. Oh, my Lord. Somehow I thought I was still able to try to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know the change gotta come.
58-year-old great-grandson of a slave is nominated by President Johnson to be a Supreme Court Justice. He is Solicitor General Thurgood Marshall, acknowledged the best-known Negro lawyer of the century. The President also calls his nominee best qualified.
I have just talked to a peaceful solution of this problem. I think he was obliged to do that, and I think that his failure to do so does not help us at all, especially when we realize that as a result of the failure of the good forces to take over, we have allowed these other forces like the White Citizens Councils and the Klan to threaten and intimidate good people.
The stepping down of Justice Clark has named to its august body Thurgood Marshall, the first of his race so honored.
crumble may crumble to the sea. I won't cry, I won't cry. No, 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 I won't shed no tears. Just as long, just as long, just as long as you stand by me. Now, darling, darling, I said I need somebody, man. I need just a little helping hand. Need someone to come pick me up and let you stand by me.